Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing from Monday, September 21st. On the impact map, we have some winds, gusty winds, not quite critical, but 20 to near 30 miles per hour across much of southern and western Nevada, where you see the shade in the orange. Otherwise, light winds, hazy skies across most of the geographic area. There will be some moisture coming out of Arizona. We could see some scattered or isolated light showers very late in the day across some of the higher terrain of southern Utah. Not widespread, but there will be an increase in humidity and cloud cover. That moisture actually gets a little bit heavier. We'll see a bit better chance of showers across the higher terrain of southern and eastern Utah tomorrow. Further westwards and northwards, an approaching front will bring in gusty winds and continued low humidity across much of western Nevada into parts of western Idaho and the central Idaho mountains. The mountains themselves here in Idaho are recovering from the rain just a few days ago, so it'll be a question of how critical or how critically dry the fuels will be for that wind event. But that wind event is continuing again on Wednesday with the approach of that front, so we'll have to monitor how much things dry out between now and then. Looking at smoke near the surface this morning, you can see packed in, lingering in some of these enhanced areas across the Great Basin, basically along and east of the I-15 corridor and across much of central Nevada as well. In the afternoon, you can see the big smoke producers across California pushing that smoke further northeastwards. You see clearing out a little bit across southern and central areas of Utah, so that smoke pushes up into southern Idaho. Similar story on the upper level smoke. It reaches a bit further eastwards in the morning, a little bit thicker, hence the hazy orange skies in all of these enhanced areas. Surprisingly clear across Idaho, and that's because of the lack of smoke production across the Pacific Northwest. But some of those fires, especially in interior Oregon, will start producing more smoke by the afternoon hours, pushing into parts of the higher terrain of Idaho, as well as expanding across much of Nevada as well. We had no precipitation, no lightning yesterday. Initial attack was fairly light yesterday. New fire starts in the red, existing fires in the yellow, existing large fires in the open purple circles. Observed precipitation the past 7 days. You can see a lot of this was Friday and Saturday where we had showers. The dark blue areas are a quarter inch, green areas a half inch or more. So primarily the highest terrain of Idaho, especially eastern areas, had the most. Actually less precip across parts of western Wyoming. You can see percent of normal, 0 to 5% in the areas in the red, but near or above normal where you have the bluish and purple colors. So we're kind of in a state of flux now. Our ERCs show the driest areas continue to be central and southern, especially southwestern areas of Utah and the Arizona Strip into much of southern and east central Nevada. Otherwise, ERCs are in a downward trend across many areas and kind of a mix up here in Idaho. They'll start reversing trend very shortly. 10-hour fuels also in the state of flux, most dry. In the 3 to 4%, we see areas in red. Pink is 5 to 6%. And once you get into the gold colors, above 7 or 8%, the finer fuels and the duff just a little too moist at this point, but that can rapidly change. On our satellite imagery this morning, you can see we're under, I wouldn't call it high pressure, just kind of a flat zonal flow, maybe a very weak high across the Great Basin, especially the southern half. Notice some moisture now streaming out of Mexico into southern central Arizona. This will start pushing northwards and bring some moisture across some of the higher terrain of southern Utah later today, and it's expanding a bit for tomorrow. This front with these tighter height lines, as this trough approaches the Pacific Northwest, we'll start seeing some increasing winds across western portions of the Great Basin. So for today, there is that moisture on the left streaming across the Arizona Strip into southern parts of Utah, maybe some isolated showers. There is that front, the tighter height lines through here, so some gustier winds across western Nevada, deeper moisture well offshore and to the north. You can see that we kind of have a mix of significant fire potential, moistened up quite a bit in our southern and eastern areas, especially in northeastern areas, drying out in the west. We'll see the humidities today, fairly dry, low 20s to upper teens across Idaho, upper single digits to mid-teens across the southern half of the Great Basin. You can see our winds here in the orange gusting up into the upper 20s, maybe near 30. Some mid-20 gusts here in Idaho. We'll see with the drier air today if that does stoke up some of the existing large fire activity. Precipitation today, you can see some specks through here across the higher terrain of Utah and down into the Arizona Strip. That is that moisture that's starting to work on in. Now for tomorrow, you see that moisture expands across Utah, so we'll have a bit more in the way of shower coverage. You see this trough pushing in the tight height lines. That'll bring increasing winds across western sections of the Great Basin into parts of southwest Idaho, starting to dry things out gradually across the central mountains of Idaho, moistening up across the higher terrain of southern Utah with respect to those showers. We'll talk about those. Humidity for tomorrow, again, mid-20s up in the mountains of central Idaho, but still bone dry in southern areas. Some of these humidities here, 19% might be early in the day, but they'll start moistening up once showers arrive. You can see the convective feedback that shows outflow boundaries from thunderstorms here in Utah, but these are the winds that we're concerned about across northwestern Nevada, parts of the Owahis of Idaho, and into the central mountains, where humidities are in the low to mid-teens, especially across Nevada, a little bit higher across Idaho. Here's the rainfall, and you can see that this is the precipitation that we're most concerned, but low-end wetting rain, we see the lime green, about 1/10 of an inch of rain, and that could extend all the way up into the Uintas. Now for Wednesday, we have weak high pressure building in, so Utah dries out. It'll start getting warmer and drier, but we also have increasing winds here. These height lines are packed in together. Moisture at this point staying further to our north and west, so we have high risk now, again, for western Nevada into western Idaho, and starting to incorporate some of the forested land in western Idaho and the central Idaho mountains as well. You can see those winds kicking up there in the orange and purple, gusts of 30, 35. Also in northwest Nevada, very windy across the Pacific Northwest. You can see our humidities again, teens to low 20s in the north, upper single digits to low teens in the south. 3-day precipitation total, other than some low-end scattered borderline wetting rains across parts of Utah, especially the eastern part. Not much for the Great Basin, but it is approaching. The Pacific Northwest gets another good shot of rain in a lot of areas that have had large fires recently, missing California, however. So further down the road into Thursday, fronts pushing on in, not as much moisture into Idaho, so I'll have to be a little bit concerned about that. We have high risk for a large portion of the area for gusty winds on the right-hand side. And then on Friday, again, windy conditions, but we do have some moisture starting to move in, so you see some more green up in the mountains of central Idaho and parts of western Wyoming, but south of there, not much moisture, just a bit of a rise in humidity. And then as we go to Saturday, that moisture shifts northwards. Not sure how much we're going to quite get in the mountains of central Idaho. Not as much as previously thought. If we don't get it by Friday and Saturday, we got big trouble, because this high pressure ridge, a monster one, starts building on in the weekend, and that could linger into much of next week with much warmer, drier conditions. 7-day precipitation total. Again, this is in the first 24 to 36 hours. The front here could produce a low-end wetting rain in our central Idaho mountains, much more so just to the north of the Salmon River up there into parts of far northern Idaho, but missing us probably. The 8 to 14 day shows a transition to much warmer, probably near record temperatures for much of the west and much of the Great Basin, and drier than normal conditions, and even much drier than normal across parts of Idaho. So no season-ending rain events in sight. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.